Hello everyone, welcome to Elite Engineer. In this our optimization course, in this video number 2, we are going to see the GAMS structure. We already seen that basics of optimization and how you can download the software for GAMS. GAMS, that is optimization software, where you can perform various types of optimization. In this video, we're going to see the GAMS structure. Basically, when we are trying to formulate the optimization objectives, we need some set of inputs, some structures, and some output to solve our optimization problem, right? So there are total 3 main parts. Now we need to give data to GAMS. First you need to give data. That's why it will come to know that what it need to solve, what it need to minimize, what it need to maximize, right? So we need to give the data to the GAMS. So it will process the data and give us the result. That is a solve. And it all depends on data type. For example, it is like a way you express your input data. For example, when I think you would have done some coding or something like in Python or C, you would know that there are some data types like int, like a float, all these data types, right? So it all depends on data type, the way you express your input. Then comes in an input, let's see from the base, the first one is our set. Now what is our set? Set refers to the index, like variable 1, variable 2, variable 3. And for instance, let's consider x, like a x1, x2, x3 and say xi, where I is our index. How we call it as a set. Now to make it more clear, when we'll write some code, I'll tell you that how we can create a set in that, right? Now comes our variable. Now what is a variable? When we talk about the variable, what is a variable? Variable is something that the value we are unaware of. The value is unknown, right? So when we try to solve our optimization, before solving we do not know an optimal value of elements. We want GAMS to solve and find the optimal and the best value. That's why we are using the variable. We are creating the variable so that GAMS should find the optimal value for that. Next comes table, scalar and parameter. When we talk about table, scalar and parameter, these are all the input data first of all, right? In table and parameter, both of them, we can use sets. I'll just show you how we can use a set in these two. And in parameter, we can use one set or more than one set also. But the scalar is a constant number, right? In GAMS, like in GAMS file, maybe we do not need to use all of them, right? I'll just show you when we'll try to write some code. We can use some of the input parameters, we can use some of the input and create our optimization objectives and find the optimal value of them. But definitely, I already told you these values are known and that need to be find out for maximization or minimization, whatsoever we are doing. So this is compulsory, right? And always one variable would be there. What is that? That is our objective function to minimize or maximize. Now comes our equation. Actually there are number of equations, 1, 2, 3, 4, like in this case. Each equation derives a relationship between this left hand side of the code and the right hand side. If you have multiple variables in the code, for example, we need to tell the GAMS what is the relationship between, for example, there is some x1 variable and x2 variable. What is the relationship between x1 and x2? For that we need a formulate a equation. And now what is our constants? Like you already know that we need to define some constants in our equation, right? So is constants an equation? Yeah, I'll just tell you whether it is an equation or not. So if you have more than one equation, your constants, each equation has a name and a content. And that name is exactly a label that is used for calling that equation or including that equation to a model or not, right? Now each equation represents a constants of the function. This is actually a constants, right? Now constant describe the nature of that equation. Okay, what is the nature of that equation, right? Then comes our model. I'll make you clear about constants and how we are using that in the equation format when we'll write the code. This basically to understand how is exactly it's working, right? Then comes the model in our equation. More than one model we can formulate in our code, right? It tells us which equation is included and which equation is not. Okay, since there are many equations, now we need to combine which equation is with that specific model. Now there's some data specific model also, like there's some specific equations, like for example these two equations formulate and these are connected with this model, right? And these three are connected with this model. There's some data specific model also, right? That's what it is. Now sometimes we need to exclude some constants from the model and solve that. Then we want to include all and solve again. So what we want to do here is like this model consists of all the three, and if this model we want to include all the equations, like all the constants, so we can solve in this fashion also. We can make some model to include all, like this middle one, and this model to include only these two, and this model to include last three one. So we can solve in this fashion also. And we can also have more than one solver statement. Like I have shown you one solver. I'll just show you how we can do it. We can create solver statement also to solve our particular model, and we can create more than one solver statement also. That is actually the profit of using GAMS software. Now the important part here is the solver statement. This is the solver statement which we write, like for maximization or minimization. We need to define the solver statement, like which model can be solved. Okay, so that's all about this video, where I have described about the GAMS structure, which we will be going to create in our upcoming videos by basic code, so that you can just formulate your own optimization objectives and constants and optimize, like minimize or maximize your objective function based upon your constants, based upon your conditions. And I assure you that it will become easy for you to optimize anything, even your daily routine. That's all. Here I end my video on GAMS structure. See you in the next video. Bye bye.